Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you guys are doing well as always, and I'm back with another video, and this time it's gonna be a deck guide video for the clan Link Joker. And of course, Link Joker is the newest clan that just got released in set 12. So this is gonna be the first deck guide for set 12. Of course, we're gonna have many more, at least 3, because we still have Revengers, Attic Buster Reverse, Narukami, and maybe Gamo, because I still haven't decided whether I should do one or not, just because I don't think it's that great of a deck to showcase. But if you guys want to see it, do let me know down below in the comment section. But hey, no promises, alright, so don't get mad at me if I don't do the Gamo deck guide video. And I do apologize that I am a little bit late in making or uploading this video, just because I've been really busy with work, because I do plan to do this video last week, but I don't really have the time for it, just because my work have been really busy. And of course, I've been preparing for the Vanguard 0 Championship, which I managed to get into day 2, which is the final top 16 with Shadow and Noval. So these are the 2 decks that I brought, and of course Noval is the ideal given by Chris, aka Different Fight, so big shout out to him, because my plan is pretty simple. I just want to bring 2 decks that can beat Link Joker, so that if someone bring Link Joker, they are not gonna get a win from me. And now let's talk about Link Joker. Link Joker, you know, before it came out, on paper it looks really broken, just because, you know, Lock have not changed anything. It's the original version in the real life game, and that's why people think that it's going to be OP. It is OP, don't get me wrong, but just that it's not that great. It's not as good as we all thought it would be, just because Lock is really slow in the early stages, just because you don't really get Lock much beside your Nebula Dragon Counterblast 1 to lock the back row and your starter. And beside that, the other ways you're going to Counterblast is you need to have Limit Break 4, and if your opponent store out long enough, they might be able to finish you off before you even have access to your limit break. And that is just many ways to counter Link Joker in my opinions. But don't get me wrong, Link Joker is a fun deck to play, have a unique mechanic, so I still recommend you guys trying it out if you guys can. And before we take a look at some gameplay, let's take a look at the deck list. Okay, so here's the list. As you can see, my list is actually the Chainride version, because there's actually 2 builds. One is with the Chainride and one is without. And if you're not playing the Chainride, obviously your starter is going to be Dusttail Unicorn. But since I am playing the Chainride, so you're going to be playing your Chainride starter. So a couple reasons why I think Chainride is better than the non-Chainride version, just because you get to lock when you ride your grade 2. So if your opponent want to be aggressive, you can lock their front row early on, and also you can lock their back row behind their Vanguard. And because of that, nowadays they don't run that much grade 2 10k in general, so they need a boost to attack your grade 2 10k. But if you lock their back row, if they run a 9k, they're gonna get a trigger to hit past your Vanguard. So that's a really good point to note. Okay, so now let's take a look at our grade 3 first, shall we? So for the grade 3, your win condition, one of it will be, which I find it pretty hard to pronounce his name, so I'm not gonna pronounce and make a fool out of myself. But pretty much the skill is pretty simple. Limit Break 4, Counterblast 3 Persona Blast, and you get to lock 3 of your opponent rear guards. And this unit gain 10,000 power and a crit. And that's a really good skill. But it's Counterblast 3, so most of the time, you're only going to be using his skill once. You rarely find a situation where you can use it twice. And also the second skill, which is I find really good as well for budget players, because you might not have 4 copy. This is where the second skill come in really handy, which is on right, Counterblast 1, you can add himself to your hand. It doesn't have to add from your deck, it just gives you from thin air, just by paying the cost, which is Counterblast 1. And the last skill is going to be, if you got a grade 2 Chainride, it's going to gain 10,000 power, not 10,000, gain 1,000 power, so it's going to be an 11k base grade 3 on your Vanguard. Next up, another important card is going to be your Break Right. So this is going to be your main way to lock your opponent rearguard in general, because it's just Counterblast 1. So Limit Break 4, Break Right, Counterblast 1, lock 2 of your opponent rearguard, 1 front row, 1 back row, and your Vanguard gain 10,000 power. And of course, when this unit attack, it's going to gain 3,000 power as well. So because the cost is only Counterblast 1, so most of the time you want to try to override himself as many times as you can, but try to not use too many Counterblasts, because you want to save your Counterblast for him as your finisher, because once your opponent's at 5, he have 2 grade 2s, it's not going to do anything, because if you have 3 Counterblasts, you can just ride him and then lock 2 of his grade 2, and he will need 3 PG to survive. So do try to keep 3 Counterblasts open if you can. Next up, another grade 3 is going to be Nebula Lord Dragon. So this is going to be your backup ride. For example, if you miss your chain ride grade 3, you can break right over by using him. So his skill is pretty simple. Limit Break 4, when you go into battle phase, if you got 3 lock card or more, you draw a card, and for every lock card in your opponent rearguard circle, your front row gain 3,000 power. So if he got 3 lock card, you're going to draw 1 card, and your front row is going to gain a total of 9,000 power. And the second skill, which I think is the strongest one, which is, doesn't have to be Limit Break, So you can just counterblast 1, it's a main phase skill, you can spam it as well, it's not once per turn, and you can lock 1 of your opponent back row. So this is a really good combo to pair it with your Dusttail Unicorn, which is your starter, because you don't have to go into limit break to lock their front row, but you can only do that once, so do take note. And of course we run 1 copy of Entropy, I think that's his name. So this is just gonna be another way for you to win if you have extra counterblast, because on right you can counterblast 2 to lock 1 of your opponent rear guard. So for example, you go into your grade 3 chain right and you counterblast 3 and you have 2 more counterblasts. So if your opponent survive, you can just ride over him using this card and lock 1 of his front row and try to close up the game. Okay, now let's take a look at the grade 2. So for the grade 2, obviously you do want to run 4 copy of your chain right grade 2. I run 5 copy of 10k vanillas, as you can see, 4 copy of the Link Joker and 1 from a event. And I feel like 10k vanilla is really good, just because if you lock your opponent rear guard, especially if you are locking 2, you're going to be locking 1 front row and another back row. So most of the time when you lock, you want to lock 1 from the left, 1 from the right. So by doing so, they only have his Vanguard and 1 open column. So like I say, most of their grade 2 are 9ks unless they play Childcare Attacker. And because of that, when you call your 10k grade 2 to your rear guard, if they want to call a grade 2 to attack you, or even potentially utilizing their intercept because they don't want to die, they want their grade 2 to be on the board, that's where this come in pretty handy, because if they want to call a grade 2, like I say, 9k can't hit the 10k, so they're gonna be swinging their Vanguard to your grade 2, which is really good. And also this card pretty much just forces them to play a grade 3 instead of a grade 2. And by doing so, you can close up the game more easily. But of course, there's a few alternatives you can replace this card for. For example, you can play the grade 2 8k Sniper. The skill is when this unit attack hit a Vanguard, if your opponent have a lock card, you can lock 1 more of your opponent rear guard. So another reason why I don't play that is because if your opponent have 2 grade 2s, you are at most locking their back row, and locking their back row is not going to do that much. And the second alternative where you can play is Tungsten. That is a 11k base grade 2 if you have a lock card. Not you, if your opponent have a lock card. So even during your opponent turn, if they have a lock card, it's going to be 11k base. So you guys can choose what you want to play, but I do prefer running the 10k vanilla. And next we run 4 copy of the 11k attacker. So this is really good because it's gonna be 100% 11k attacker when you go into your grade 3, because all of your grade 3 have limit break 4. And this is a really good card to run just because against mirror match, if they lock your back row and the front row, and you have only 1 open rear guard and they have like a 10k vanilla like I explained just now, that's where an 11k attacker, which is a grade 2, can come in really handy. Okay, next up, let's take a look at grade 1. So for grade 1, obviously we're gonna have 4 PGs. We're also going to be running for the chain right grade 1. Also, you also run 4 copy of this, which is really good because every time when you lock a card, it's going to gain 3000 power. So most of the time, it's going to be a 10k or 13k booster, so you can make a perfect column against your opponent Vanguard, even if they get a trigger. And then we're just going to be playing a 1-off drop draw. You can play whatever you want. You can play the 8k vanilla, also can, totally up to you, but I prefer a drop draw because why not? Drop draw could come in handy if you want to search for PG, for example. Okay, I guess that pretty much sums up for deck list. Pretty simple list in my opinion, even though there's many different lists out there. But in my opinion, it's not the list that matters, it's how you play with the deck. So same as always, I have a total of 3 games to show you guys. The first game is going to be against Gold Paladin, which I think is the best matchup. The second game is going to be against Link Joker mirror match, and then the last game is going to be the hardest matchup, which is Shadow. And you guys can decide what game you want to watch. The timestamp will be in the description box down below, but I highly recommend watching 3 of those games because all of those games have unique and different situation, and you guys can learn what to do when the situation comes. Okay, I guess that's enough talking, so now let's take a look at some gameplay. Okay, so as you can see, the first match is going to be against Link Joker versus Gold Paladin. And spoiler alert, this is not going to be Azer, it's going to be the newest build, which is the Gamo build. And here, pretty good hand, I got my grade 1 chain right, grade 2 chain right, and a break right. So now I'm just looking for the grade 3 chain right. So ideally you want to have your grade 1 chain right in your hand. Doesn't have to be a grade 2 chain right, just because you can write a normal grade 2 and you can check the top 7 to superior right a grade 2 if you miss out the grade 2. And you want to have either your chain right or your break right. So Nebula, Lord Dragon, always throw it away. So here, against Gold Paladin, the good thing about them is they can use their Vanguard Brave skill That means I don't have anything to lock when I write my grade 2 chain right. So here, I have the option to get grade 2 or grade 3. I'm gonna get the grade 3, I think. Yep, because I already have the grade 2. So by having 2 copies of the grade 3, you can save yourself 1 counter blast. And you might be thinking just 1 counter blast is nothing much, but trust me, it's big, especially when you can heal. And you might have an extra 1 or 2 counter blasts, and you can actually lock more cards later on. So do try to save as many counter blasts as you can. Unless of course you don't have a choice. So here, he didn't write a Liberator grade 2, that means he can't use his Wing of Brave skill. And that means I can lock his back row. And by doing so, we potentially close out his plan to rush me on his turn 3. So here I'm gonna write your grade 2 and lock the back row. And I don't have any grade 1, so I'm just gonna attack and pass. Although I might call 1 Rearguard down at the back row in case I check a draw trigger so that I don't overdraw. And of course, you never want to call your 8k that equals into a 11k attacker on your turn 2 because you want that card to be a 11k attacker. So here he's gonna write his Gunslot, which is his break, right? Which is alright, you know. If you're playing a Gabao build, I think you don't have to run the Gunslot. Just because you want to flood your board, right? But Gunslot, you need Rearguards to gain power. And here, because we lock his back row, you see, normally he can push us 2 damage this turn, but because we lock his back row, he can only push us 1 unless he get a trigger, but luckily for us, we check a heal, so he need 2 triggers here. Okay, no trigger, that's pretty good. He literally did no damage this turn, so that's pretty perfect. So I'm just hoping to draw into grade 1s, otherwise I can't push for more damage. So, like I say, always write your break, right? And here I'm just going to call grade 2, hoping to check a trigger and potentially push him to 3. Okay, we did, that's pretty good, and a heal as well. But to be honest, you want to check a heal in the late game when you use up your Counter Blast. But you can't really control. And here you see I actually passed my turn, which is pretty interesting. So the reason why I passed is because I do not want to attack his grade 3. I want his grade 3 to stay on the board so that I can lock that unit. So imagine I attack the grade 3 and you call grade 2. And grade 2 have the ability to intercept, so it's not going to stay on the board for long. But for grade 3, it's going to be there forever, so at most you can only put it to the back row. So this is just my opinion, okay? I'm not going to attack the grade 3 or grade 1. So for grade 3 and grade 1 on the front row, or even in any Rearguard circle, I'm not going to attack it because I want it to stay in the circle so that I can lock in the future turn. So let's carry on in the match. Okay, a Blaster Blade. Is he gonna burn anything? I mean, at most he's gonna burn my back row grade 2. At most. Yup. And here he can put me to 2. I don't think he need to call anything else. Against Link Joker, you do not want to call unnecessary cards. Okay, a draw. Wow, our trigger luck is insane. So now if you don't check a trigger, he's only gonna deal 1 damage. Okay, a draw, that's alright. Going to 2 is fine. You don't really want to stay in 1, 2 or 3 damage for too long because you do want your limit break. Otherwise, you're gonna be feeling really dry since you can't do what you want to do, which is lock. Still no booster, but I'm just gonna call a grade 2 10k and a 11k. Okay. I thought I'm gonna call my 11k grade 3, but I didn't. Which is interesting. Okay. I probably know that I won't get any trigger, that's why. But also because I don't really want to give my opponent any targets in the front row beside my Vanguard, otherwise he might damage deny me and not put me to 4, which I want to be at 4. And also when you're playing Link Joker, you do want to try to save some grade 2 during your lock turn so that your Vanguard don't take any damage if you can lock 2 of his Rearguard or 3. Because if you lock 2 of his Rearguards, 1 front row, 1 back row using the break right skill, and if you have 2 grade 2s in the front row, your Vanguard is not going to take any damage. So try to save your grade 2 for then. You don't really want to call all your grade 2 in the early game because by doing so, you are not putting yourself at 4 damage, which you do not want that. No trigger, that's fine. Taking a slower approach, I see. So here, I would definitely give him his limit break because the Gold Paladin can just flood the board, and I just got a notification that someone just followed my Twitch, which I really appreciate it. Don't really know who, but there's the music to it. So here I just want to push as much damage as I can, because like I say, Gold Paladin is going to flood his board, and by flooding his board, I'm just going to lock his board up. That is why I feel like this is a good matchup. And we got a trigger, which is good because we don't have Grade 1, sadly. Double trigger, that is perfect. And because of it, we can guarantee push him to 5 if you don't check heal. Nice, nice. Okay, he's at 5. And we might not even need to use the break right skill, but there's no reason to rush since we have 2 PG in our hand, and since he's at 5, it's alright if you don't have a booster. So here is the newest support for Liberators, which is Gamo. And here, his Gunsmore is just going to search him a Blaster Blade, and his Grade 3 is going to gain 5000 power. Not much, that's why I don't think running Gunsmore is necessary. And here he's just going to flood his board. Let's see what he get. I guess it's fine. Doesn't really matter what he called because I'm just gonna lock it anyway. And here, I guess he should probably replace his Grade 3 with a Grade 2. Yep. Otherwise, he's just gonna die to my Break Right skill. And here, if you notice, he don't have any more Counter Blast. That means he can't use any more of his Blaster Blade Liberator skill to burn my front row. And that is where your Grade 2 come in clutch, and I have 2 PG. So if we don't finish him off next turn, we are probably still going to survive unless you check a heal here. The only good thing I think about Gamo when it's facing off against Link Joker is he has the ability to return a card from the field into the deck, so he can potentially return his front row and prevent a lock. But by doing so, you also reduce your defense as well. So here I'm just going to write my Chain Right. Wait, I'm not. Okay, I'm going for the greedy approach. Okay. Okay, another pro tip is don't ever write a Chain Right unless you are gonna use a skill, or unless you don't have a choice, because if you're gonna write a Chain Right in the early game, your opponent's not gonna call 3 Wake Up for you to block. So you want to keep an element of surprise when you're playing Link Joker. And let's see, does he have another PG? He have, okay. But still looking pretty good for us because like I say, I have 2 PG, so what can he do? And also he don't have any unflips as well. So you see, he have his Blaster Blade Liberator, but he can use his skill. And even though if he can use his skill and burn my Grade 2, it's not going to touch my Vanguard. So it's not a threat at all. Okay, returning his trigger, which is really good. No trigger. Okay. So here, I have no clue how many PG left, but I feel like I should write my Chain Right and go for the kill right now. Because I can't survive another turn. And that's why I feel like on my previous turn, writing the Chain Right over the... Not the Chain Right, writing the Break Right over the Break Right is unnecessary just because I'm not going to use the Break Right skill because I want to lock 3. And by doing so, he will need 3 PG, and we know he doesn't have 3 just because he just used 2 on the previous turn. And because your Vanguard have extra power and a crit, you're going to swing it last to prevent him from surviving by 6 damage shield. And because we lock 3, we're going to survive anyways if he did manage to survive, which I don't think he did. And yeah, that's game 1. Pretty easy win, as you can see. Good matchup against Gold Paladin. So now, let's take a look at game 2. Okay, so here, as you can see, it's gonna be a mirror match. So mirror match is gonna be a little bit trickier because you don't really want to let your opponent lock first. You always want to be the one that lock first. So here, I'll throw my Nebula Lord and keep a grade 2 and the Chain Right grade 1. It's fine. And we got our break right, which is amazing. And we got PG as well. Against mirror match, PG will be important. And here you can see he's not playing the Chain Right version, he's playing the Dusteel Unicorn. But he played the Chain Right grade 1, which is interesting because he probably played Chain Right but without the Chain Right starter. Which I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not a fan, to be honest. It's a little bit risky. And here we're gonna write our Chain Right for grade 1 and hopefully get a grade 2 Chain Right. We did. I'm gonna get a grade 2. There's no rush getting your grade 3 because you're not gonna use it till the late game. So there's no rush. And of course I have my backup right, which is my Nebula Lord. Ooh, 1 PG down, that's good to see. So here, even if you write his grade 2 Chain Right, he's not gonna lock anything because I have nothing for him to lock, and he doesn't have his Chain Right, but he have the Morpheus Bear Dragon, which I'm not a fan because it is a Vanguard skill. So once you go into your grade 3, it's just a 9k vanilla. Okay, no trigger. I guess we are taking 2 damage, but you know what? Taking 2 damage right now is not that bad because, like I say, you want to start locking your opponent before he lock yours. Another Nebula, that's bad. That's 2 heals down. And like I say, if he did decide to rush me, I can lock his front row. So here, I'm just gonna push him to 3, hopefully. Okay, a draw. That's good. So no heal, and he's gonna be at 3. So now let's see what is he gonna write for his grade 3. Okay, so he did decide to go for the Chain Right grade 3, right? Which is gonna be a 10k base. And it's gonna hurt if I go into my grade 3 because my grade 3 is 11k and his Vanguard column is only 15k. And Morpheus Bear Dragon, okay. So now that's where the 10k vanilla come in handy because I kind of force my opponent to call booster down. Otherwise he can't hit my grade 2. That is why I like my 10k vanilla so much in Link Joker. Okay, that's the second PG down. So looking pretty good for us since he's not checking any trigger at all. And here, I'm just gonna, you know what, let me think. I'm gonna run my Break Riders for sure. And the fact that he didn't use the Countless one to search another copy of himself tell me he have another copy in his hand. And I'm not gonna call 3 Vanguard for him to lock because like I say, you want to be the one that lock first. So here is a tricky turn. I can't really remember what I did, so let's take a look. I might just attack his Vanguard and pass. I might though. It's tricky. Although I can call a Nebula Lord in the front row and just swing his double Rearguard. Oh, I call my grade 2. Okay, that's interesting. But still, I'm not giving him his limit break, so I guess it's fine. I do not know how I feel about calling the grade 2 because like I say, I want to save my grade 2 when I can lock my opponent. But against mirror match though, saving a grade 2 might have no point since he can lock a grade 2 anyways. So here, is he gonna push me to 4? He is not. Okay, so here comes the stalling game. And that's why I say this is where it gets tricky. And here I have another PG, which is great. And you know what, I think I'm just gonna put him to 5 damage. And I'm just gonna call 1 extra card. So I'm not gonna let him lock 3 Rearguards. And this way I can have 2 more attacks during my next turn. And he'll need 2 exact PG, which we know that he don't have 3 or more because 1 is in his damage zone and 1 is in his bottom of his deck. So he's going to 5 no heal, please. Okay, great. He played Creed. Okay. You never play Creed in Link Joker. Why do you play Creeds? You know what? I guess it's still pretty early on. People are testing out trigger builds, but I do highly recommend playing 9 draw because, you know, drawing into your pieces is really important in Link Joker. So here, looking pretty good for us. Even if you don't give us our limit break, we can still push for 2 damage next turn. And he's at 5, so if you don't check heal, he is screwed. Okay, he have the grade 2, so like I said, the 8k grade 2 you can play as a replacement for the 10k vanilla, which I'm not a fan of. Because like I said, in this kind of situation, what's that grade 2 gonna do? Nothing. And he tried a heal. Good for him, but we are still in a really good spot since we are only going to 3 and we still have 2 more PGs. So I don't see any way for us to lose. Because we are going to be at 4, right? And even if I don't finish off him this turn, he's not going to kill me. And here I did top deck my chain right, so why not go for it? Although running the Lembulan lot might not be a bad play as well. So here, he only have 1 grade 2, so there's no reason to triple lock, so I'm just going to use my break right skill and also use my chain right skill to search another copy of himself to set up a finisher turn on my next turn. So here, why do I call that grade 1? You know, that grade 1 is unnecessary, but I guess it's fine. It's unnecessary calling. Do not know why I did that, but I don't think I'm going to get punished since he only has 2 Counter Blasts left and he can't use his Persona Blast skill anymore. So at most, he's going to use the grade 3 where you on right Counter Blast 2 to lock a rear guard. But he don't have any PG, so I guess that's game. And yeah, so game 2 go to us as well. And as you can see, Link Joker mirror match can be complicated, so practice makes perfect. And I guess it's time for the last game, the hardest matchup, which is against Shadow Paladin. So now, let's take a look. Okay, Link Joker versus Revengers. Why I say this is a bad matchup? Because Revengers have the new finisher card, which is Raging Form Dragon, and they can eat 3 of their rear guards to stand. So they pretty much eat their rear guard to have more attacks. And because they eat their rear guards, that means I have nothing to lock. So the way to win against Shadow, if they are not experienced Shadow player, is to lock 3 of their rear guards so that they can't use their Raging Form skill. But if they are experienced Shadow player, they're not going to give you or call 3 rear guard for you to lock. So here you can see my hand is pretty good. Full cap, I have my grade 1 chain right, and I have 2 copy of my Persona Blast, so don't have to use Counter Blast 1 to search. So here, hoping for the grade 2, but if we don't, it's fine, we still have a grade 2 to the right. And we did get a grade 2, so that's good for us. So here, I'm just going to attack like this. But if you're playing this chain right deck, the ideal is to go first, so that once you write your grade 2 10k, their Vanguard can't touch my Vanguard. But you know, going second is not the end of the world, and here he writes Scourge Nimane, and that is the punish of playing her. Is you might actually write her, and on Vanguard, you have no effect. And as you can see, he played a lot of non-Revenger cards. He played the Dark Mage, he played Nimane, and he played Cursed Lancer, which is pretty interesting. And again, he called a front row. That means I can lock his front row and only potentially forcing him to push 2 damage instead of 3. So we're gonna lock the front row, obviously. If you can lock the front row, obviously you'll go for it. And here, because he writes a Scourge Nimane, that means my 10k rearguard can push for another damage if he don't get a trigger here. Okay, that's good. You always love to see a Blasted Dark Revenger in their damage zone, because that is another way they win, is by popping our grade 2s and be aggressive with it. So let's see, is he gonna write his Break Right or Raging Form? And here comes Raging Form. And believe me, Raging Form right as the first grade 3 is not that bad, because they can just eat 3 of their rear guards without even limit break and search for another copy of himself. And here he called full board. And here I'm feeling pretty confident, because calling a full board means I can lock 3 rear guards and prevent his limit break. And the trigger doesn't really help us that much besides +1 card in our hand, because it's gonna push through our Vanguard either ways. Ooh, double draw into another PG. That's great, that's great. So here, we are just going to be writing our... Oh my god, we don't have our break right. So here you can see, I purposely do not write a grade 3, because I want to pretend that I miswrite. And by doing so, I can force him to put me to 4 damage. And if he does that, I can lock 3 of his rear guard when I ride my grade 3. And if that happens, that means his raging form can't use his skill, and since he's at 3, I can afford to do this kind of play. But what I didn't realize is his raging form can eat 3 of his rear guard without limit break. For some reason I totally forgot. But I guess my bait didn't work, because if my bait worked and he think I don't have a grade 3, he would just like call a full bot and just push me and try to finish me off ASAP. But here, I'm pretty sure he's gonna eat 3 of his rear guard because he is an experienced shadow player. Yep. Too bad for us, our game plan didn't work like we want it to work. So he's gonna push us to 4 damage regardless, since he know there's no much punish, since I can lock 3 and most 2. And you know, locking 2 rear guard against shadow against them is not that bad, since they just need 3 open columns to do their stuff. And they are not looking too good. We are at 5 already. But we have 2 grade 2s, we have 2 intercepts, so I guess it's still fine. Ooh, we draw a break ride, so you know what I'm gonna ride? The break ride, of course. So here, I'm just gonna push as much damage as I can, call my grade 2 down. Am I not gonna call my grade 2? Yeah, I am. For some reason I'm thinking whether I should call my grade 1 booster or not, because if I call it down on break ride, I can gain extra 6000 power, but I guess I did not. And here, do I put him to 4? I feel like I do, because I have 2 PG, I can survive either ways. Oh, I didn't! Okay. Okay. This is gonna be a long game. I remember this game is really intense. So here I'm probably trying to stall, because the fact that I have 2 grade 2, that means he need to call 2 more cards to push extra damage to my Vanguard. Okay. He's gonna call Blaster Dark, which is fine. A Masquerade. Okay, so he's gonna rely on luck to make me drop my PG. So if you don't get a trigger, it's gonna be huge for us, because we can save 1 PG. Ah, he get a trigger. That's too bad. Come on. He got rewarded by taking the safe approach. No, that's not even a safe approach, that's the risky approach, because it's not a guaranteed attack. So not looking too good. So here, again, I'm hoping for heal trigger, since we still have 3 more in our deck. You know what, I think I'll break, right? I seriously don't know. Let's just watch. Let's just watch. Okay, I did not. You know why? Because I'm probably gonna attack double rear guard and just pass again, I think. Yeah, because I know I'm not gonna survive a limit break turn from him. Because Raging Form limit break have a total of 4 attacks. Ooh, a heal. That's good, that's good. What we want is heal trigger to stall the game out. Ooh, double heal! If we win, it's because of the double heal. I'm not gonna deny that. That double heal is huge. I'm just hoping he just calls 3 rear guards, but I know he's not gonna do that. But you never know, man. That double heal might trigger him to push even harder. And if he want to push harder, he need to call 3 rear guards. Okay, that's 2 rear guards if he use his skill, which I'm pretty sure he's gonna use, because Count Last 1 to such a great 1 is amazing. Yep. And if you don't call another 1, he's gonna push 1 damage only, which I think is fine. And if I'm at 4, if I draw another PG, I would break right and push him to 4, or even more damage. Because I want to know if I can survive his limit break, because if I know I can't, there's no point giving him 4 damage. So yeah, as you can see, I'm gonna break right. And I'm not gonna use my second skill, which is Count Last 1 to search himself, because I have a copy already. And here he's gonna have 3 attacks, but we have 1 intercept and 1 PG, so we can probably still survive if he don't have his Blaster Dark. I'm just gonna call 2 bigger. I want to push as much damage as I can. So once he reaches to 5, I can just Persona Blast and try to close the game out from there. Ooh, a draw, that's pretty bad because now we will need a trigger to push him to 6 damage, potentially. Oh no, we didn't check a trigger. That means his PG is still safe in his hand. That's not good. That is not good. And if he have a Blaster Dark, he will just win the game. So, finger crossed he doesn't have it. So now here is getting really intense. And I'm probably at a point where I either need to check more heals or just try to deck him out, because Shadow Paladin deck out easily since Raging Form draw 2 cards. Your Makat Core 1 card. Your main draw 2 cards. There's a lot of Superior Calling, card drawing, a lot of pluses. That's why your deck run out pretty fast. Okay, he don't have Blaster Dark, which is good. That means we're gonna survive this turn regardless. Okay, a draw. So at this point, I'm pretty sure he have 4 PG, because I have not seen any dry check PG, no damage check PG as well, and his hand is huge. And he checked double draw. And our game plan might work, which is to deck out him because he's gonna override and draw 2 more cards, and he's at 4 cards right now. And if he check another draw, he is screwed. So here, like see, I just checked his trigger count. He have all 9 draw out. And he checked a heal. And that heal actually backfired because now he left 3 cards. And you know what that means? He's gonna take 1 damage and go to 2 cards, and he's gonna draw 1, and he's gonna left 1 card in his deck. And because of that, he can't Twin Drive. And if he can't Twin Drive, I just need 1 Great Tool to win the game, because I can lock his right column and I have an intercept. And that's game. It's game. It's game just like that. So normally you don't really win like this. This is a unique situation, that's why I want to showcase it to you guys. So here, I don't really care if you have PG, I'm gonna win either ways. So here you can see his Blaster Dark is in his deck luckily, otherwise we might have just lost. Oh, we check our last heal as well, but I don't think that matters. Like I say, he's gonna deck out. He is gonna deck out. And that's game, I guess. There's nothing much you can do. Sure, you can write that, but you can't Twin Drive anyway, so don't know what he's trying to do right now. He's probably trying to scare me and hope I press the concede button if I didn't realize his deck is 1 card. Or maybe he didn't know that he can't Twin Drive on 1 card because you just lose like that. As you can see, game. So we won the hardest matchup by taking him out. Okay, and yeah, I guess that pretty much sums up for the whole deck guide video. So same as always, do make sure to leave a comment down below letting me know what are your thoughts about Link Joker. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it too slow, or is it broken like we all thought it would be before it came out? And yeah, I guess this should be it. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for next video. Goodbye.